Now, Dr. Tam, would you turn to Exhibit 2595?
Okay.
Okay, and can you identify what this document is?
Yes, I know of this.
You know of this document?
Yes.
And how do you know of this document?
Because this one of the this is the English version of the Chinese flyers they put out for Prop 8.
Now, when you say they put out, who is they?
The team that is onewoman.net that takes care of this promotional flyers. They have a team to do it.
You have a team that does that?
Yeah.
And did you see this flyer at the time it went out?
Yes.
And this was something that you were putting out in order to convince people to vote for Proposition 8, correct?
Ah, yes.
Right. And the last bullet on the first page said that Proposition 8 protects against social moral decay. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now, what is the social moral decay that is being referred to there?
Well, from the Christian angle, homosexuality or the sex between two persons of the same sex is a sin.
And what you are saying is that Proposition 8 protects against homosexuality because it's a sin. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think what they mean is
when you say they, who are they?
The persons who wrote this, and of course I don't know about this, and I agree with this too, okay? So you can say that me.
So you, exactly.
All right.
So the they is you.
Yeah.
All right.
They is not me, okay? I agree with what they say here. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Social moral decay, what it means is if same-sex marriage is legal, it would encourage children to explore same-sex as their future marriage partner. And from both Asian culture and also from our Christian angle, we think that this is a social moral decay.
And on the second page, oneman-onewoman.net is a little bit more specific about what social moral decay is, correct?
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Under number 2, where it says same-sex marriage is not a civil right. You see that? The last sentence says, if sexual orientation is characterized as a civil right, then so would pedophilia, polygamy, and incest. You see that, sir?
Yes.
And do you agree with that, sir?
Yes, I agree.
And that's what you were to tell people, that's what you told people in order to convince them to vote for Proposition 8. Correct, sir?
Yes.
Yes. All right, let me go down to the point 4, where you say that countries that legalize same-sex marriage saw alarming moral decay. You see that?
Yes.
And you say Netherlands legalized same-sex marriage in 2001, and to date, incest and polygamy became legal. You see that?
Yes.
Now, did you agree with that, sir?
Yes.
You believe that after the Netherlands legalized same-sex marriage, the Netherlands went on to legalize incest and polygamy?
It says here to date, it does not say something caused the other to happen. However, it shows the moral decay of a liberal country and their views of sex.
No, what you are saying here is that after same-sex marriage was legalized, the Netherlands legalized incest and polygamy. Now, whether that was casual or not, you're saying that that's what happened after same-sex marriage was legalized, correct, sir? Same-sex marriage.
Yeah. Look at the date. It's polygamy happens afterwards.
Who told you that, sir? Where did you get that idea?
It's on the internet.
It's on the internet.
Yeah.
Somewhere out in the internet it says that the Netherlands legalized incest and polygamy in 2005, right, sir?
Well, frankly, I did not write this, all right? Polygamy was legalized in 2005. Another person in this organization found it, and he showed me that.
And you just put it out there to convince voters to vote for Proposition 8, right?
I look at the document, and I think that was true.
Did you ever look up what the law was in the Netherlands or ask anybody to do that?
Yes, there's a different document out there that shows that this is true.
And when you say this was true, what you are saying is that, I just want to get that you are saying is that after the Netherlands legalized same-sex marriage, the Netherlands legalized incest and polygamy. That's what you're saying.
I don't know if incest, but polygamy.
Well, no, it says incest right here. Do you see it?
Yeah, it says here incest. It's there, but it does not say when it was legalized, okay?
All right. So, what you are saying is that they may have had incest before same-sex marriage.
They might.
In fact, if that was the case, same-sex marriage couldn't have had anything to do with incest, right?
Right. It does not say that same-sex marriage causes incest. It does not say this in this document.
Well, if you just...
It just shows them when a country is so liberal in their law regarding sex between people.
But you have said that you support civil unions and domestic partnerships. You told me that right at the beginning, remember? And that still is your testimony, right?
Yes.
Now, you say here that Sweden accepted same-sex unions in 1994. Today, siblings can legally marry. Traditional marriage is no longer valued. You see that?
Yes.
Now, those unions were civil unions. They weren't marriage, correct, sir?
Yeah, right.
Right, so any problems that was there was coming not from marriage, but from civil unions that you say you support, correct, sir?
Well, I said I support domestic partnership. I didn't say about civil union.
Now, you don't remember me asking you about civil unions just like 2 minutes ago?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I don't know how to look at civil union, really, but so I support the domestic partnership.
All right, what is the difference between a domestic partnership and a civil union?
I don't really know, but it seems like it's more closer to marriage than union, civil union.
Because of the name?
Yeah, because of the name.
Because of anything else other than the name?
Well, I haven't gone into study about it.
But you know that the domestic partnerships are the same as marriage except for the name, right?
Yeah, that's what I learned.
And you support domestic partnerships.
Uh-huh.
But you think that just changing the name of domestic partnerships to marriage will have this enormous moral decay, right?
Yes.
And that will bring on incest and polygamy, right? And pedophilia, right?
But how would you...
Now, I'm just asking you the question, sir.
Okay. I believe that if the term marriage can be used beyond one man and one woman, then any two person of any age or of any relationship can use the same argument and come and ask for the term marriage. That would lead to incest. That would lead to polygamy. I mean, if this is a civil right, what would prevent the other groups not to use the same argument and come and ask the name marriage?
Dr. Tam, right now, can two people of any age or any relationship become domestic partners? Can a brother and a sister become domestic partners?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. And a man and a 10-year-old girl could not become domestic partners, correct? Right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. So you don't have to allow people of all ages and all relationships to enter into domestic partnerships, correct?
I agree.
But on...
Would you repeat that again?
Sure. Domestic partnerships are limited to the people of a certain age, and they exclude people of a certain relationship, like brothers and sisters, correct?
Okay, yeah.
And you know that, right?
That's why I support it.
And just the fact that they have offered domestic partnerships to gay and lesbians and not led them to offer domestic partnerships to underage children or brothers and sisters, correct? Just because they offered domestic partnerships to gays and lesbians has not led them to offer domestic partnerships to underage children or to brothers and sisters, correct?
Okay. Now I understand your logic.
Yeah, now you see where I'm going.
Yeah. All right. Well, the logic is good.
Yeah, the logic is pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, the logic. All right.
Yeah, the logic is good, but when you look at some European countries, then you see something like this. Now, for example, the age of consent. For me, I don't care whether it's the same sex or different sex. For me, it's moral decay. If a country allows two people of 13-year-old plus 1 day to have sex legally, to me, it's a moral decay.
But Dr. Tam, is it your position that just because we change the name, just the name, Everything else you said is the same. We just changed the name of domestic partnerships to marriage. Well, then all of a sudden we're all going to have sex with 13-year-old girls.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because the name of marriage is so important, especially for us parents to teach our kids, all right? That if the name of marriage is not so narrow, which is between people of different blood, of different, of age above 18, then our children, you know, we always look at things from an angle of a parent, that they would fantasize, everyone fantasize whom they will marry when they grow up. So children will fantasize about marrying either a man or a woman, and to us parents, you may say that I'm a Chinese paranoid parent, but we get very, very upset about that. However, if domestic partner is defined as it is now, then we can explain to our children that, yeah, there are some same-sex person wants to have a lifetime together as committed partners, and that is called domestic partner, but it's not marriage. Then we have something that is very easy for our children to understand. But if you mix up a marriage as different kind of sexes, then to us as parents, I have parents coming to me and ask me, you know what to do about this?
You finished?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you agree that just because you allow gays and lesbians to marry, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to let brothers and sisters marry, correct?
Right.
And you agree that just because you allow gays and lesbians to marry, you don't have to allow people to have sex with children, correct?
Right.
That's up to the people and the legislature, and they decide, correct? Now, you have to say yes, Doctor. You can't just nod your head.
Yes.
Yes. Now, and it's also true that you realize, and that's important to gays. You also realize that it's important. It's important to gays and lesbians that they be able to marry. Correct? That's important to them, right?
Uh-huh.
You have to say yes.
Yes.
And you know, just as your children are benefited from you and your wife being married, that the children of gays and lesbians would be benefited if their parents were married, correct?
No.
No. You don't think that children want their parents to be married?
I don't know what you're getting at.
What I'm trying to get at, and I will be really clear, is that children of gays and lesbians want their parents to be married, just like children of heterosexual couples want their parents to be married, because the word marriage means something, correct? Now, you may think they shouldn't have it.
Yes.
Okay, you may think they shouldn't have it for all sorts of reasons, but you recognize that it's important to those children.
Yes.
Correct?
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
All right. Now let me turn to another subject, and let me ask you to look at Exhibit 2633. And can you identify what this is, sir?
Yes.
What is it?
That's an email I received from Andy Pernod about the Statement of Unity.
And the second page of the exhibit, the page that bears the document production stamp, TAM PM 6668, is a statement of unity, correct, sir?
Yes.
And this was a statement of unity with respect to the Proposition 8 campaign, correct?
Yes.
And it is headed protectmarriage.com, correct?
Yes.
And at the bottom, you say, I and the organization I represent join in the foregoing statement of unity, correct?
Yes.
And you signed it, sir, right?
Yes.
On behalf of yourself and on behalf of the Traditional Family Coalition. You signed that, sir, right?
Yes.
Right. And this statement of unity that you say you agreed to, in the second line says, victory depends on the mutual commitment of each coalition partner to work in the service of a unified campaign. Do you see that?
Which paragraph?
The very first paragraph, the second line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that.
And you agreed to that, sir, right?
Yes.
And you agreed to work in the service of a unified campaign with ProtectMarriage.com, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And going to the second paragraph, you agreed that multiple campaign committees, independent strategies for public messaging, and personal use of the marriage amendment to raise funds or increase membership are counterproductive and increase the likelihood of defeat, correct?
Yes.
And you agreed that you would not have independent strategies for public messaging, right, sir?
Yes.
Right.
But later on, I forgot about the document and I made some independent statements, I believe not aligned with protectmarriage.com and not following the directions of this document.
Well, sir, you consider yourself an honest person, don't you, sir?
Yes.
And you wouldn't sign anything that you don't believe, would you?
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't sign if I don't believe it.
And when you sign something and make a commitment, you take that commitment seriously, don't you?
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you committed here, number 2, do you see this? The heading Message Discipline. Now, you agreed. You agreed that public communications by coalition partners in support of the marriage amendment must be approved by the campaign manager for strategic message discipline. Do you see that, sir?
Yes.
And you agreed to that, didn't you, sir?
Yes, at the time, yes. But later on, I admit that I violated this message principle.
Well, let's explore that. This was signed in July of 2008, correct?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right?
Yes,
So, up to that point, you had message discipline, correct?
I think so.
And you didn't start violating that pledge the next day, did you?
I don't know what you mean.
You don't know when.
Oh, I don't know when.
You don't know when.
Right.
Yeah. When do you think you violated the pledge, sir?
Well, frankly, I don't remember. I don't
What
know.
did you say that violated the pledge?
Well, I think like what I told Mercury, San Jose Mercury News about homosexuality leads to all kinds of diseases. I think I said by saying that I might violated the principle.
Right. Now that was published in the Mercury News, right?
Yes.
And that wasn't something that was hidden. That was right out there in public, right?
Right.
Did anybody from ProtectMarriage.com come and tell you you shouldn't have said that?
Yes.
Who said that? Who told you that?
I forgot his name, but one person called me and said that you shouldn't have said that.
Is that in writing anywhere? Any record of that?
No.
Do you remember the name?
That was Mr. White. I think Mr. White, yeah. Something like Mr. White.
Something like Mr. White.
Yeah.
But you didn't get it in writing or anything.
I don't remember.
And when they had you sign the pledge, you had to do it in writing, right? Right? You have to answer audibly, sir, so the court reporter can take it down.
Yes.
But here, this supposed statement that Mr. White or somebody told you was never written down and was never in an email. You never made a note of it. They never recorded it in any way. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Now, this interview in the San Jose Mercury News was October 15th, 2008. Did you violate this pledge any other time?
Yeah. I think, yeah.
Yeah. And when Mr. White came to you and said, Mr. Tam, you're violating your pledge, did you say, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it anymore?
Let's see, that was in October.
Yeah?
That happened in October, yeah. After October, I think I haven't said anything to violate this. I tried to keep my mouth shut.
So the only time that you say you violated this pledge was the San Jose Mercury News?
No. There was another time.
What was that other time?
I think that time was when I spoke to a Chinese newspaper reporter.
And what did you tell that Chinese newspaper reporter?
I mentioned something about what you had probed me before, about sibling marriage, and that happened in September, sometime in September.
And did anyone from ProtectMarriage.com tell you, come to you after and say you shouldn't be talking about what's happening in other countries?
No, because there was a Chinese newspaper reporter, and I don't think they read that.
All right. Well, let me go back to one of the exhibits we looked at before. Exhibit 2199.
Okay.
This is, where your oneman1woman.net website said that homosexuality is linked to pedophilia and homosexuals are 12 times more likely to molest children. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Now, did anyone from protectmarriage.com come and tell you you ought to take that off your website?
No, they didn't, because if I remember correctly, this website, or this part of this website was established in 2009. It was way after Prop 8 was passed.
Now, Dr. Tam, let me ask you to look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2595.
2595?
Yes. 2595. And I think we offered that earlier, Your Honor.
2595 is in.
Now, this is clearly before the November 2008 election, right?
Oh, yes, this is.
And this is something from the oneman.onewoman.net website, correct, sir?
Right.
So this website was in operation during the campaign, correct, sir?
Well, yeah, it is. But this website does not belong to Traditional Family Coalition, and only Traditional Family Coalition signed that pledge with protectmarriage.com. Oneman.onewoman.net never signed anything with them.
All right, well, let me try to unpack that, okay? What you are saying is that this wasn't a violation of the pledge because oneman.onewoman.net had never signed the pledge, right?
Right.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah, right.
Right. Okay, now I'm focusing on a different question.
Okay.
Oneman.onewoman.net was a website that was up and running during the campaign for Proposition 8, correct?
Right.
Okay.
But those information, this particular page that you pointed at, I remember was not up there
You remember that?
during the campaign.
You remember that?
Yeah.
All right. Sir, if I represented to you that a prior witness has testified that she saw this during the campaign, would that refresh your recollection?
Maybe she saw the oneman.onewoman.net.
No, saw this one about homosexuality and pedophilia, the link, and homosexuals are 12 times more likely to molest children. Saw that particular page during the election. Would that refresh your recollection, sir?
I don't know. Maybe it is. But then, well, I cannot remember correctly when. Okay, but that's what I thought.
Now, protectmarriage.com was well aware of oneman.onewoman.net, correct, sir?
That I don't know.
You don't know. Well, for example, go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 2204.
Okay.
Now, this is your press invitation for the rally
Yeah.
that Ron Prentice spoke at.
Yes.
And do you see what the website is?
Yes.
What is it?
Oneman.onewoman.net.
And if you look at 2595, that flyer that went out,
Yes.
and that refers to oneman.onewoman.net, correct?
Yes.
And if you go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 2187, the flyer for the open air rally, that's headed Restore Marriage, Protect Children. Do you see that?
Yes.
Again, with Mr. Prentice speaking, do you see that?
Right.
A co-sponsor is listed as protectmarriage.com, correct?
Yes.
And at the top of it, it's onewoman.oneman.net, correct?
Right.
Now, does that refresh your recollection that the protectmarriage.com people were well aware of oneman.onewoman.net?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Objection overruled.
Well, I'm not protectmarriage.com, so you can infer that they know.
Well, let's see if we can do a little bit more than infer. Let's look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2599. Now, this is a document that is sent out on October 22nd, 2008, correct?
August 22nd, yes.
Yes, August 22nd, and it is sent out from Mr. Schubert's firm, correct?
Yes.
And for the record, what was Mr. Schubert's firm responsibilities here? What was it?
To run the campaign.
Yes, to run the campaign. And he sends this to a variety of people, a number of people who have been redacted, but among the people that have not been redacted are you, correct, sir?
Yes.
And protectmarriage.com, correct?
Yes.
And catholicexchange.com,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And californiafamily.org, correct? You see that?
Yes.
And a number of other people and other organizations, correct?
Right.
And it says attached are the Protect Marriage weekly grassroots meetings from yesterday.
Yes.
Did you attend the Protect Marriage weekly grassroots meetings?
Yes.
And who else attended those meetings?
I remember leaders of different grassroots teams.
And what grassroots teams were you the leader of?
Asian Americans.
Now, would you look at the page 3 of this document, the page that has the document production stamp TAM PM 5429?
Yes.
All right, and you see the third bullet there at the top of the page?
Yes.
And would you read what it says in these Project Marriage Weekly Grassroots
Okay,
meetings
okay.
minutes, okay?
Okay.
All of the team leaders for the Proposition 8 campaign distributed by the people running the campaign. What does that say, sir? What does that say?
You mean the third bullet point?
Yes, sir.
Website is up, oneman1woman.com.
Your Honor, I have no more questions.
Very well. Mr. Thompson, do you have any examination?
No cross-examination, Your Honor.
Very well. Ms. Moss, on behalf of the other defendants.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Very well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dr. Tam. Dr. Tam, I would like to take you back a bit to the petition phase of the campaign. And by the petition phase, I'm referring to the time before Prop 8 qualified for the ballot, had gathered enough signatures and got on the ballot.
Yes.
Would you agree that the majority of work that you did with ProtectMarriage.com during the petition phase, would you agree that the majority of work that you did with ProtectMarriage.com was during the petition phase of the
Objection,
campaign?
Your Honor, this is leading. This isn't cross.
He's right, Ms. Tam. Ms. Moss, sorry.
Very well, Your Honor. Dr. Tam, during the campaign, broadly, not just the petition phase, but the petition phase and after it had gotten on the ballot, was there a period of time when you worked more closely with ProtectMarriage.com?
Yes. It was during the time that we have to put out the petitions to collect signatures. Those were the times I worked more closely with Andy Pernod.
Okay. And how frequently would you say that during the petition phase of the campaign that you had contact with Mr. Pugno?
We have about 6 or 7 phone calls about all the technicalities. And also I met him one time to pick up petition forms from him.
And when you say about the technicalities, what are you referring to?
Like the petition forms from, let's see, how was that? It should be distributed, how forms should be distributed. And also later on with filing the papers to the Secretary of State for the qualifying process. So those were times that he would send me to do the paperwork. I read it, then I sign it, send it back to him, so back and forth.
Did you have a role in drafting any language that would be on the petition?
No.
And were you involved with Mr. Pugno or anyone else from ProtectMarriage.com during that time in formulating messaging related to the ballot initiative that you were attempting to get on the ballot that became known as Prop 8, I guess?
No.
And over the 1 million signatures that were ultimately gathered, how many were you personally responsible for turning over to ProtectMarriage.com?
I would guess about no more than 20,000.
Do you recall the questions from Mr. Boies about your declaration that you signed? That was PX Exhibit 507 in their binder?
507?
Yeah, it was PX Exhibit 507. It's the very first tab of the plaintiff's binder. It was your declaration in support of the proposed intervener's motion to intervene?
Yes.
And I believe on your direct testimony, you referred to ProtectMarriage.com drafting this declaration.
Yes.
Is there a specific person within ProtectMarriage.com that you were thinking of when you said
Yeah,
that?
Mr. Andy Pugno.
Mr. Pugno was your attorney at the time?
Yes.
Mr. Tam, you also testified that ProtectMarriage.com, in relation to this debate that you attended, that ProtectMarriage.com instructed you to go to, told you to participate in that debate.
Yes.
What does that mean to you? Do you feel that you could say no to them?
Yeah, I could have said no to them.
And focusing then on the campaign phase after Prop 8 was actually on the ballot, Mr. Boies had you look at a statement of unity. Let me find that here. It's going to be in their binder, not mine. I think it's 2633.
Yes.
And if you look at the second, it's the paragraph that's numbered number 2, which says message discipline.
Yes.
Public communications by coalition partners in support of the marriage amendment must be approved by the campaign manager for strategic message discipline. Did that, in fact, occur to you or any of your organizations that you were involved with?
Could you repeat the question? Discipline?
Did you get any of the messaging that you did personally approved by the campaign manager for protectmarriage.com before you sent it out?
No.
Did you get any of the messaging that you sent out or that your organization, the Traditional Family Coalition, sent out approved by the campaign manager, Schubert Flint?
No.
From protectmarriage.com?
No.
How about the onemanOnewoman.net organization? Did any of that information get approved or submitted to the campaign manager before it was sent out?
No.
The third paragraph where it says that is entitled The Face of the Coalition, and the second sentence says, all media requests are to be forwarded to the campaign for assignment to the appropriate spokesperson, which may or may not be the coalition partner originally contacted by the press. Every time that you were contacted by the press, did you refer it to protectmarriage.com?
No.
Now, I'm going to take you through some of the documents that Mr. Boies raised with you today. I would like you to look first at the tab Plaintiffs Exhibit 513. It's the second tab in the plaintiff's binder.
Okay.
First of all, did you post this on the internet yourself?
No, I did not.
And at the top where it indicates Dear Friends, to whom were you sending this to?
I sent it to TFC members.
And approximately how many TFC members are on the mailing list that you sent this to?
Well, at that time, it was at about 100.
And if you look down beneath your signature where it says, thanks for your efforts, Bill Tam, Traditional Family Coalition, what does it say right beneath there?
Last updated on Friday, September 4, 2009.
2009. And so to your knowledge, was this posted on the internet before September 4th, 2009?
I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know that. They posted this letter online.
Did you submit this letter to the Dear Friends of TFC? Did you submit this to protectmarriage.com or its campaign manager before you sent it out?
No.
I would like you to turn to PX2187 in Plaintiff's Binder.
2187. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 2187, sir.
Okay.
Okay. At the very bottom, where, first of all, you did not draft. Did you testify that you did not draft this
No,
flyer?
I did not draft this. No.
So at the bottom where it says co-sponsors for this rally is protectmarriage.com, do you have any basis to know why it says that on this flyer?
No, I don't know. I did not pay any attention to this flyer.
Huh. Do you know whether protectmarriage.com paid for this flyer?
I don't think so.
If you would turn to tab PX2343, this was the tab, the exhibit that ended up getting broken up into A, B, and C.
Yes.
And I believe that the Chinese version of this flyer that was admitted into evidence was 2343D. Do you have that? Do I have that down correctly? Do you have that Chinese
yes.
flyer in
Yes,
front of you?
I have.
Okay. Was this flyer submitted to protectmarriage.com or Schubert Flint before it was disseminated?
No.
Did they have anything to do with its creation?
No. No.
Did they distribute this flyer?
No.
Staying in the same exhibit, but going back to the article that you published on your website, your personal website that Mr. Boies asked you about, this is the 2004 article?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I'm going to ask you, well, do you know approximately, as of today, how many individuals have visited your personal website?
I believe about 1,600.
And would you turn to tab 2? And I'm sorry to make you jump around, but this would be in the binder I gave you in the defendant intervener's binder.
Okay.
And this is marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 527.
Yes.
Is this a printout from your, well, what is this document?
This is one of my pages on the website.
And does it have to go, and does one have to go to this page in order to access the article, such as the one that is contained in PX 2343?
Yes. Yes.
And can you tell me, as of, well, what is the date? Do you see the date at the bottom right corner of this document that shows when it was printed out?
Yes.
And can you tell me, as of that date in November 2009, how many visitors had visited your website?
1,547.
Do you know how many of those have been lawyers in this case?
Pardon?
I said, do you know how many of those, if any, were lawyers in this case?
So, some of the visitors?
Yes.
I don't know.
And Dr. Tam, turning to tab PX 2507 in plaintiff's binder. 2507.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Is that the same small email list of TFC members that you sent the last email that we looked at that got posted on the Presence Ministry website? Is that the same email list that's being referred to here?
Yes. All these emails that I write to my members, they are either titled Dear Friends or Dear Friends of TFC. And the mailing list number is very small. It's like 100 at a time.
And was this email, did you share this email with protectmarriage.com or the campaign manager before you sent it out?
No.
Did you share any of your emails that you sent out to Dear Friends of TFC, to Protect Marriage, or the campaign manager before you sent them out?
No.
Turning to PX 2595.
Okay.
I believe on direct, you testified that this was the English version of the Chinese flyer that we were looking at just a short while ago?
Yes. Yes.
Did this English version of the flyer get submitted to protectmarriage.com or Schubert Flint for their approval before it went out?
I don't think so.
Did they have any involvement in its creation?
I don't think so.
Did they distribute this flyer?
No.
Mr. Tam, during the campaign phase of Prop 8, after it got on the ballot, approximately how many times did you have contact with Ron Prentice, the chairman of Protect Marriage?
Contact meaning?
How about phone calls?
Phone calls. Maybe 4 times.
And how frequently were you in contact with Schubert and Flint?
It's very rare, maybe 1 or 2 times.
At any point in time during the campaign phase, or really at any phase of the campaign for Proposition 8, did you have any involvement in drafting the official messaging of protectmarriage.com on 8?
No.
Did you have any involvement in formulating the messaging strategy for protectmarriage.com, yes on 8?
No, not at all. I was acting independently.
And apart from not sharing any of your materials with protectmarriage.com or Schubert Flint before you sent them out, did you have any? Did Schubert Flint or protectmarriage.com have any input into the messaging strategy of the traditional family coalition or oneman-onewoman.net?
Objection to the form of the question.
It's compound, sustained.
Certainly. I can rephrase. Did protectmarriage.com have any involvement in the messaging strategy of the traditional family coalition
No.
in support of Prop 8?
No.
Did ProtectMarriage.com have any involvement in the messaging strategy of onewoman.oneman.net in promoting Prop 8?
No.
And when you were communicating with members of the Traditional Family Coalition, were you doing so on behalf of ProtectMarriage.com?
Could you repeat?
When you communicated with members of the Traditional Family Coalition, such as in your Dear Friends letter, were you doing so on behalf of ProtectMarriage.com?
No, not at all.
And in the documents we have looked at today, when you described working with ProtectMarriage.com, what were you referring to?
I was referring to the conference calls during the campaign phase. I mean, the conference calls that I was in, and then during the petition phase, I was referring to petition signature collection, things like that.
And in the documents that we've looked at today, and in your testimony that has explored some of your viewpoints on same-sex marriage and on homosexuality generally, did you share any of those viewpoints with anybody from ProtectMarriage.com at any time during this campaign?
No.
Did you share those viewpoints with anybody at the campaign manager, Schubert Flint, at any time during or after the campaign?
No.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect, Mr. Boies.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you mind if I take a break? I'm getting pretty tired.
That'd be fine. I assume the redirect is reasonably short,
It is, Your Honor.
but if the witness wants a break, that will be fine. Shall we take 10 minutes?
If it's a short one, then yes, please.
About 15 minutes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Can you hold out? If you want a break, we'll take a break. If you don't,
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Boies,
No, we'll take a break, if not.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
take 5 minutes. Very well. Mr. Boies, you may redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Tam, you said you worked more closely with the ProtectMarriage.com people during what you call the petition phase, as opposed to what you call the campaign phase. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Now, when did the campaign phase, as you describe it, start?
I say in the fall.
In the fall of 2008?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you to look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2472.
Okay.
All right, this is an email that you wrote February 14th, 2008. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in that, you talked about your opportunity to publicize what you referred to as our marriage amendment, our Protect Marriage Amendment on television.
Yes.
Now, did you view this as part of the campaign phase?
Probably not, because if it's in the campaign phase, it would have, everybody know about it. I don't have to publicize it.
Well, let me refer to the debate that you had with, that was broadcast by Channel 26. I mean, that was a debate that certainly everybody knew about, right?
Yes.
Because ProtectMarriage.com had told you to do it, right? Remember?
Yes.
So they knew about that.
Yes.
Was that part of the campaign phase?
Yes, I think it was in October.
And let me ask you to look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2633 that we dealt with before.
2633.
Yes, 2633.
Okay.
It's the Statement of Unity. And, Your Honor, I think I did not offer it earlier, but I will offer it at this time.
2633?
Yes.
Very well. If it's not previously been admitted, it shall be.
Now, this is July 21st, 2008, correct?
Yes.
And this was part of the campaign phase.
I say, yeah, that the starting point.
Yeah, the starting point of the campaign phase. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it could be. Yeah, could
All
be.
right, let me ask you to look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2631.
All right.
All right, and this is in the early August of 2008, correct?
Yes.
And this shows you attending the weekly grassroots conference, correct?
Yes.
And this was certainly part of the campaign phase, correct?
Did you say 2631?
2631, yes, of which I would offer, Your Honor.
Hearing no objection, 2631 is admitted.
And you told counsel on cross-examination that you only met with people from Schubert Flint a few times. You remember that?
Met them? No, I did not meet them.
Well, you said very rare contact with Schubert Flint, 1 or 2 times. Do you remember telling that to your counsel?
Yeah.
Now, Schubert Flint were running these weekly conferences call. They were running these weekly conference calls, right?
I did not know who runs it really.
Well, Exhibit 2631 came from Schubert Flint, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and you know that Schubert Flint was running the ProtectMarriage.com campaign, correct?
Yes.
And these calls went on every week, correct, sir?
Yes.
And you participated in them every week, correct, sir?
Not every week. I think I have done 6 or 7, something like that.
And each one of these 6 or 7, they were ones that Schubert and Flint were in on, right?
Frankly, I don't know who was on. They all sound alike. I'm very bad in recognizing names and relate to the voice, especially so many people are talking, and then English is not my mother tongue.
All right, well, sir, let's get a couple things straight. First, when you received notices of these calls, it came from Schubert Flint, correct?
Yes.
And when you received minutes of the calls, it came from Schubert Flint, correct?
I know it's from their company.
Yeah, for example, Plaintiff's Exhibit 2630.
All right.
Your Honor, did I offer Plaintiff's Exhibit 2631?
You did. It's in.
Thank you. And Exhibit 2630 is minutes of that conference call that Schubert Flint then sent you, correct?
Yes.
And if you look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2599, got it?
Yes.
Yes. This is, again, minutes of a grassroots meeting, a weekly grassroots meeting that you are getting from Schubert Flint, correct?
Yes.
And this is during the campaign phase, correct?
Yes.
And you recall that this is one that talks about you and talks about a website being up of onemanOnewoman.com. I think it means .net.
Yes.
I make that mistake myself. You see that?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, I would offer Plaintiff's Exhibit 2599.
Very well. 2599 is in.
And if you would look at Exhibit 2504, now this is October 29th, 2008, correct?
Yes.
And this is during the campaign phase, correct?
Yes.
And these are communications between you and ProtectMarriage.com, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would offer Plaintiff's Exhibit 2504.
Very well. There have been some redactions here. Is that material?
Your Honor, the redactions might be material to permit the court to evaluate the extent of the contact, and I would ask the court in camera to look at the names.
Your Honor, as well, I've only seen a redacted version, and I think we would need to see it to evaluate whether it's in fact somebody with ProtectMarriage.com. We need to see the name to be able to evaluate whether it is even somebody with ProtectMarriage.com.
Well, can you submit an unredacted copy?
I believe it's been submitted to them. I didn't do those redactions.
Yeah, we will work with counsel, and we will be sure that the court gets an unredacted copy.
Very well. 2504 will be admitted.
And would you look, please, Doctor, at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2185?
Okay.
Okay? This is a TFC News Bulletin, correct?
Yes.
And this follows the passage of Proposition 8. It follows the passage of Proposition 8, correct?
Yes.
And if you look up, if you look at the page that is marked DEFINT PM 5077 at the bottom, you see that?
Yes.
It says that the Traditional Family Coalition during 2008 was allied with ProtectMarriage.com. Do you see that?
Could you point to where I can see where it
Yeah,
is?
do you see at the box on the right-hand side? It says Traditional Family Coalition 2008 Historical Events.
Yes, I see. Yeah.
Now, do you see the first one is allied with ProtectMarriage.com?
Yes.
Yes. I would offer Exhibit 2185.
Very well. 2185 is admitted.
And if I did not, I think I may not have offered it. I would also offer Exhibit 2630.
All right. If not previously admitted, 2630 is in.
And with respect, would you look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2187? All right, there? Okay. With respect to your assertion that you were not closely working with ProtectMarriage.com during the campaign phase, October of 2008 was clearly during the campaign phase, correct?
Yes.
And this is a flyer that was sponsored by the Traditional Family Coalition, your organization co-sponsored by ProtectMarriage.com, correct?
Yes.
And this was the one where you asked Mr. Prentice to speak at, correct?
Yes.
And during the campaign phase, ProtectMarriage.com, they reimbursed you for your expenses of television and radio and print advertisements, correct?
They reimbursed me. They reimbursed people, the organization who placed some ads for Protect Marriage.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
They reimbursed not me. They reimbursed people, the organization who placed some ads for Protect Marriage. They didn't reimburse me. They reimbursed the people who run some ads, TV ads or newspaper ads.
Now, was this the Traditional Family Coalition that they were reimbursing?
No, these are people, there were some Chinese Christians who offered to put some advertisement for Prop 8, but then they don't know how to do it, so yeah.
All right, well, let me ask you to look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 2627. This is an email that you got from Mr. Puno of ProtectMarriage.com, correct?
Right.
And this is dated October 27th, 2008, correct?
Yes.
I would offer Exhibit 2627, Plaintiff's Exhibit 2627.
Very well, 2627 is admitted.
And this is addressed to multiple people, but one of them is the Traditional Family Coalition, correct?
Yes.
And it says at the top, Bill and Peter, and you are the Bill, correct?
Yes.
And it says your organizations are spending approximately $50,000 to place TV and radio and print advertising with Asian media. Do you see that?
Yes.
And your organizations refers to Peter's organization and your organization, correct?
It looks like he was referring to that, but my organization did not do any of the TV or whatever ad. It's Peter's. But then I introduced Peter to Andy so they can work these things out because I don't want to get involved with those.
Well, sir, this doesn't say, this isn't just addressed to Peter. And it just doesn't say your organization. It's addressed to both of you, and it says your organizations, plural, correct?
Yeah, that's what is here, yeah.
And what you were saying, you're saying that it was just wrong?
Right.
Is there anything in writing where you could correct that? Did you send them back an email that says, no, my organization is not spending any of this money?
Once again,
Now, I'm not asking you whether you did it or not, sir. I'm just asking you whether you did it or not.
No, I did not. This is an S of the organization to me. As a Chinese, I never knew I have to face a lawyer asking me this kind of question. So I never bothered to specify, hey, you are saying this S is wrong. You know?
No, when you get emails, you often reply to them, correct?
Not really.
Well, in fact, we've seen some of yours.
Yeah, sometimes I reply to some of the things, but I don't.
Sir, all I'm doing is I'm asking. See, you're saying today that this is wrong, and I'm just trying to figure out whether there's anything that's written down contemporaneously that supports that or not. Whether there is anything that you could use to support your testimony. That's all I'm asking.
No, I did not reply to it and correcting how many organizations are doing that, or that I'm not involved in this.
Incidentally, you worked closely with Peter, did you not, in organizing things in support of ProtectMarriage.com?
No, not really, because I only work with him in organizing the rally. But in terms, he runs a lot of the show.
A lot of what show?
Well, like the rally, the putting out the pamphlet, the flyer, I did not do those kind of things.
Well, you worked with him in doing those kind of things, didn't you? I mean, for example, you and he were both contacts for the press invitation for the rally, correct?
That's true.
Yeah?
Yes.
Your organization was the sponsor of the rally, correct?
Yes.
Now, I've just got two more questions. And the first is it your testimony that you were not involved with the formulation of campaign strategy and messaging for ProtectMarriage.com? Now, is that your testimony?
That is correct.
And I think you testified earlier that based on the knowledge of what a core group is, means that you have picked up. You didn't think that you were part of the core group. Is that correct?
No.
Now, am I correct that you are not part of the core group according to your current testimony?
Right, I'm not the core group.
Okay, now during your break, did you talk to anybody about your testimony?
Yeah, I talked to my lawyer.
You talked to your lawyer. What did you say to your lawyer?
I say I felt like a naughty boy being put in front of a classroom and being mocked at.
Oh, and what did your lawyer say to you?
He left.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
One last question, Dr. Tam. You have indicated earlier that you felt you were a minority. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you are aware that there were periods, unfortunate periods in our history, where Asian Americans were limited in who they could marry. You do know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I take it that if those laws were present today, you would feel very aggrieved by those laws, would you not, if you couldn't marry the person you loved?
Your Honor, this is beyond the scope of my direct.
Yes.
That's okay, Your Honor. He answered.
Objection overruled. Very well. Mr. Tam, thank you for your testimony. You may step down, sir. Very well, counsel. What do we have in store for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Your Honor, we will be calling Dr. Herrera as our last witness, I believe. We do have some document issues concerning documents that have been produced, some of which were the Prentice documents. We are hoping we don't have to call Mr. Prentice to authenticate them, but we are, well, those are the last two things on our agenda, and then some cleanup issues on exhibits.
Have you approached your opposite numbers about those documents?
I believe that process is unfolding, so we are trying to ease things.
Mr. Dusseault is handling that?
We've been exchanging specific lists of all the exhibit numbers in an effort to minimize any disagreements.
Are you exchanging that with Miss Moss, are you?
Yes.
Well, looks like things are in good hands. Very well. Anything further?
No, nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, I will see you tomorrow morning, 8:30.